Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about some of the AI features that BrowserStack offers as part of its test case management platform, its low-code, no-code platform, and also where we're going to start today in Jira. So Jira allows us to connect to BrowserStack's test case management tool and add test cases that are linked to specific issues, tasks, epics, whatever they might be in Jira, right? But using the power of our AI tools, you can actually generate those test cases based on the context of what the ticket says. So using the title and the description, and you can see we have steps in this particular ticket for example purposes, it will generate test cases based on that, right? So you'll see here, it's test the outcomes of a successful and failed login. Pretty standard test. We want to test that, and these are the steps. We're giving it a URL that we want to use, a specific website, and we're telling it what to do, right? So doing that, we go down here and in the BrowserStack section, you have two options, test cases and test runs. So one kind of begets the other. So test cases, we can generate those manually or using AI, and then we can create a test run from those test cases. So we can group them together as part of our test suite and allow them to run as a group. And that's very useful. We won't be covering that today, but it's there if you wanted to use it. But for now, we're just going to click on generate using AI, and it's going to go and it's going to look at the ticket that we're in, get the context, and generate test cases based on that. Now, they won't get automatically added to test case management without us reviewing them first. So we will look at each one. We can make any necessary changes we want. If we want to add more detail or we want to change some steps around, we can also do that. So it's just about kind of finding what works. Generally, if you're descriptive enough in your ticket, the outcome is good to go. But in some cases, you may need to add or remove complexity and so on. So we'll see what the AI comes back with here. So it's going to go over thing, and I've actually specified a folder here. It's my project is called AI Demo 1, and the folder is called Manual. You'll see here it currently has 0 test cases in it. And it's basically going to generate tests based on the Jira ticket. But if we had some other test cases in the manual folder currently, which we don't in this scenario, but if we did, we'd be able to get context from that as well. So if there was like a URL in one of those tests that we use for testing a login, it would then pull that and use that in the test cases as well. So it allows us to have that context and history built up as well to make our tests more accurate. In this case, we're going completely fresh. And you'll see it's generated 3 tests for me, exactly the ones I wanted. Successful login with valid credentials, perfect, happy path scenario. Failed login with incorrect password, okay, because we get a specific error message when there's a failed because of a password, and similar for a username, non-existent account or username. So as I said, we can review an ad or we can remove them if we want to. So if they're not relevant, we can remove them. So I'm going to review an ad, and it brings up our test case management UI, which is project, the folder, title, and there's descriptions, preconditions, and then the steps that we go through. And that's perfect. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to happen. So if I click on add test case, you'll see it's linked to CAN5, which is my current ticket. And you'll see now it's not suggested anymore. It's actually been added to it. And if I go back over here and I reload the page, you'll see here that I have successful login with valid credentials. And that's been added. So we'll go back now and we'll review an ad. I'm going to take them at their word for the purposes of time. And we go review an ad, add test case. And we now have 3 verified test cases linked to our Jira ticket that you'll see the last run status, what happened the last time it was run, and a link to that run as well. So if you need to go directly to that test case in test case management, you can do that. Now, that's the Jira element. It also works the other way as well. So if you're creating a test case here, down here, you can actually specify that you want to add it to a project. So I'm going to add it to my Kanban project. And I can select the issue type. Is it a task, an epic, or a subtask? It's a task in this case. I can pick an assignee. That's me. And I can have a summary like the login was not successful with correct credentials. And again, for the purpose of time, same description, right? And reporter is me. There we go. So create this. And you see now that there's a new ticket can6, which is added to the requirements. And you see it's linked to Jira. And if I click on this, I'm going to go the login. Actually, I have it copied, so I can just do this. And I can also do this. So I can generate this test case using AI inside test case management as well. So if I know broadly what the test case is meant to do, I can give it a very descriptive title, and I can tell it to go and create my steps and save me a bunch of time. So I'll do that now. Just only take a couple of seconds. And there we go. So preconditions, you have an account and the user is unable to log in due to an unknown error with the authentication system, which is usually what that means. If you're entering the correct credentials, that's going to be the case. So go to the login page, enter a valid username, click the login. You can use the forgot password. So it's taking you through all the various steps that you can use in order to figure out why your login is failing. And then when we click on create, if I go back to my Jira and I reload my issues page, I now have a new Jira ticket called the login was not successful with credentials. And if I open up the BrowserStack section, you'll see that it's linked to that test case as well. So there's a a bidirectional relationship there. They both can work with each other. But there's one other thing that we can do here using the power of our AI platform, and that is it's actually kind of given away by this banner here. It's using our low-code automation tool to create tests, essentially. And what we can do is we can actually open up our test, and I'll actually use the one that was created here, and we can go automate using BrowserStack AI. And if I do that, it's going to give me a number of things I need to add in. So enter a valid URL. That's perfectly fine. And we want to give it the correct credentials, which in this case, student, password, 123. And those are listed on the actual page itself. When you go to it, you can see it's there. And the steps are all fine. We'll leave them as they are. And we'll say you can also enable local testing if you want to do so. BrowserStack local testing will allow you to test behind your firewall, on your internal networks. Basically, like a reverse VPN almost. Just allows us to run tests in local or test environments. So not needed in this case. This is a publicly available website, but good to know. So if I go proceed, see it's in progress. We'll notify you once it's ready. So I'll get a pop-up telling me that the test is created, and then I'll pop over to my low-code management tool and I'll do that, and we'll have a look at it. It takes a minute or two, so we'll probably kind of pause here and come back when it's there. Okay, so now that's been created. It took a little bit of time, so we paused for effect. So if you go to view test, it takes for our low code tool, so it's just called low code automation. And you'll see here that it has all of the different kind of steps that are involved. So open this link, type the student in input text field. It doesn't specify the password in clear text for security reasons. Submit. Then once you're on the successful login page, you take the log out button and you do it again just for good measure. Right. So we can actually run this test now. And to do that, we need to have the desktop application, which you can download from down here. I've already got it here, and I'm going to just successful login with valid credentials. And if I click on the run button, it's going to wait for the browser. So the browser will open now. And you'll see here, it's going to go to practice test automation page. It's going to enter in student, password 123. That's going to log in. That's going to take the log out button. It's going to run through the same thing again, just for posterity more than anything else. And that's your test done. And you can see the test is passed. And we didn't have to write a single step. We had a Jira ticket, which had steps in it already. So that was provided to us. We generated the steps using AI, the test cases using AI, and we generated the low-code test using our AI features as well. And then we ran our test, and it passed first time. We didn't have to change anything. We just had to add a valid URL and credentials, and off we go. This is potentially going to save you a lot of time, and I think it's something that is very, very interesting for people who are not using a programming language or don't have those particular skill sets, like manual testers who want to save some time, this is a real game changer. Thanks for listening. I hope it was useful.